Kristen Oaks-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
Well, Louisiana farmers received about $180 million through the Market Facilitation Program, according to the Advocate newspaper. The MFP is the program the USDA used to help farmers make up for losses due to trade disruptions with China.
So why should you care? If farmers are not able to stay in business, rural companies cannot stay in business. Banks lose money, and that means jobs disappear. The stark reality is that the MFP is not enough for some farmers to keep going. 2019 is proving to be a tough year for Louisiana farmers. A report from the USDA Economic Research Service shows that farm income is up by 2% from last year, but that includes payments made through the Market Facilitation Program.
But when you back out payments from the government, farm income's down. And there's other indicators that show that farm income, farm profitability is not increasing. It's decreasing, not at a rapid pace, but any decrease in income in a time where costs continue to rise, that means folks are hurting.
Louisiana Farm Bureau National Affairs Coordinator Andy Brown says for Louisiana, that means a 2 to 3% increase in delinquent loans. That could have some farmers and ranchers consider getting out of business.
Well, the first thing is just to breathe.
Bill Bryan is an attorney who works with small family farms. He says clients normally come to him when they think there's little to no hope to save the farm. Bryan says there's always hope.
If you have a relationship with your lender, they may be able to extend your loan or figure out a different way to increase your loan so that you can stay afloat.
If that's not enough, Bryan says Congress created Chapter 12 bankruptcy in the 1980s specifically to save family farms. And this past July, Congress raised the debt limit to file Chapter 12 to $10 million.
It's a lot simpler way to reorganize your farm. It's not necessarily saying I'm a failure as a farmer. It's just saying that I need to restructure my situation so that I can still stay afloat.
Fortunately, in Louisiana, not many are at that point.
We haven't really filed a lot of Chapter 12s yet, but we're putting the pieces in place so that if they need to, we can go ahead and do that, and they're more comfortable because, like I said, usually it's at the last stages when they come to you, so they're frantic and they don't know what to do. But if you kind of walk them through it, like I said, let them breathe, then by the time, if you have to resort to a 12, it's not a big problem.
This trade war is hurting everybody. It's hurting them in a large way, but this administration has come up with a program that they feel like mitigates some of that risk that those farmers have incurred as a result of this trade war.
Fortunately, here in Louisiana, many of our farmers are diversified enough and are strong enough business leaders to weather this storm. However, it is important to remember just how much is out of a farmer's control. The weather, the markets, governmental regulation, they must react to all of these variables. And what's at stake? Our ability to be certain that when we go to the grocery store, there's a box of cereal on the shelf or a steak in the cooler or chicken nuggets in the freezer. All of that is because we have strong farmers. It's important that we don't take that for granted. I've seen it myself. It's not that way everywhere else in the world. And I'm going to go ahead and relinquish my soapbox, but it really is the truth. I mean, we're talking about folks who allow us to do the jobs we do. Mm-hmm. You know it firsthand.
I know it firsthand, and I also know firsthand that, while those MFP payments do help, they certainly don't make a lot of people whole because they at the end of the day, a lot of farmers, like my husband, for example, have 0% of the crop sold for this season because the price is so bad. Right. So, I mean, it's helping you get by, but like you said, there are so many different options that are out of your control. It can be a frightening business to be in.
You and I have been texting about that frightening side of it.
Well, there will soon be more options open to rice farmers when it comes to crop insurance.
According to Louisiana 5th District Congressman Ralph Abraham, the USDA's Federal Crop Insurance Corporation will add alternate wetting, drying, and furrow irrigation practices to those eligible for federal crop insurance coverage beginning in crop year 2020. Speaking from Washington, D.C., Congressman Abraham says he brought this to the attention of the USDA and that it is vitally important for Louisiana farmers.
In today's world of agriculture, it's a must. This is not something that you can just say, well, it would be nice. This is something that farmers have to have because we know that crop insurance is that safety net. They don't make any money from crop insurance if they have to file a claim, but at least maybe it will make that particular farmer, he or she, bankable next year so they can go get another loan. So like any insurance in any industry, it is a vital part of the plan. They have to have it now.
Contact your local farm services agency to find out more information. Congressman Ralph Abraham is Louisiana's only member of Congress sitting on the House Ag Committee. Now, Kristen, it's time to get your Christmas tree. Is it up at your house yet?
This is a sore subject because I've been waiting for a week for Landon to go pick it up, and it's not ready yet. But I like to have mine. Thanksgiving was late this year, and I really like to have it up as long as possible, as long as it stays fresh.
Is it a real tree?
Of course, I can't do fake.
No, the smell is not the same.
No, it's not. I'm all about the real trees, and I like to get mine flocked, which is what's taking so long. And I'm not alone in my love for the real deal. The number of real trees purchased in the U.S. rose from 27.4 million in 2017 to 32.8 million last year. That's according to the National Christmas Tree Association. This week, Twila's Carl Wiggers takes us to a Washington Parish farm where you can bring home much more than a beautiful Christmas tree.
Rolling hills of Christmas trees. It's high time to find yourself on a sleigh ride through Steele's Christmas Tree Farm. That's what Max and Abigail are up to today. Kevin Steele says that's what his farm is all about.
And the thrill of the old-time thought of going out into the woods and to cut a native tree and bring it into your home and decorate it. We've taken a lot of the hard work out of that. We cultivate our trees and we have beautiful rolling hills here, and the people can come out and enjoy a time of fellowship, and they make memories that last a lifetime.
They're making memories buying this Leland Cypress Christmas tree.
We inventory about 7,000 trees on our farm. We have 5 different fields on a 5-year rotation. So each year we open a new field. If we happen not to sell out that field, those trees are our bigger trees for the next year. I have never been able to grow a tree too big that I can't sell.
That includes this monster he sold this week that has been growing here for more than a decade.
It was 18-foot Leland cypress. He was probably around between 10 and 12 years old, and we sold it to the parish government for St. Bernard. They bought an 18-foot and a 16-foot.
Whether it's an 18-foot beauty or a more standard size like this one, Steele says the memories grown here are more priceless than any tree.
You can buy a Christmas tree anywhere. When you come here, I want you to create a memory with your children or your grandchildren that when you're gone, they're going to remember, I went with Mimi and Papa and we used to cut down a tree.
Steele's Christmas Tree Farm is a treat for the entire family, but their trees are going fast. Kevin said the beautiful weather last weekend made for a busy time on the farm, and families were out in full force picking their perfect tree. If you'd like to get out there and find a tree for your home or business, the time is now. To plan your trip out there, head over to our website at twilatv.org. And you guys, it was a fun day. It was a beautiful weather. It was great weather last weekend. I went out this week, and it was again beautiful weather. And the farm is beautiful. You just see rows and rows and rows of trees, and it's pretty neat to see how he has it laid out. And it's just like a normal old farm. The crop's a little different than what I'm used to.
It's about more than just the tree, though. It's got to be about the experience when you're out there.
Yeah, it for sure is. And the couple you saw in the story, they just ate it up. It was their first time they'd been out there, and they were just like, oh my gosh, this is where it's at. It's not, it's so much better than going to a big box store, because you have, walking out through the rows of trees and picking your own. It's just, there's something to it. It's fresh.
And it'll last longer.
Yeah, it was really fun to go out and be out there doing that.
And you won't have one of those Charlie Brown trees.
Well, I see that you didn't bring us a Christmas tree as a souvenir.
Sorry. You already have yours on your way.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know when I have it. But the last time you were here, you also promised that you were going to bring us some lettuce from your hydroponic garden.
I remember you also referenced it's not magic lettuce.
I know, but I saw some sprouts. So
I do have some on the way.
Give us an update.
An update. Okay, so
any.
I've got about 40 heads of lettuce in my system now already. Over Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving, I went up to Winsboro, of course, to see my family, but I also went to Rayville and visited Mr. Rory again. And he helped me out with some fertilizer, kind of fine tuning some things, and I asked him some more questions. He sent me with 2 flats of plants that he'd already had seeded, and a couple of weeks down the road from mine that I just seeded that week. So I have 3 sets of lettuce now.
Okay.
It's growing really well. The only difference is it's outside, so it's not quite as pretty and pristine as in a greenhouse with no wind or rain or anything like that.
You ever get your water level issue fixed?
I did. So I had to put a valve and do more tinkering and let my inner redneck out as I figured it out. But it was really fun. And
redneck engineering, never put it down.
It was fun, but I did figure it out. I was putting too much water into the first pipe before it could flow through the rest of the system. So.
Well, I've been working on Dad trying to get him to get rid of the chickens and start the hydroponic lettuce.
Hey, I'd love to come out there.
He's not quite on board yet.
It's a hard sell,
Maybe
probably.
you can convince him.
I'd love to.
Is anything already eating them?
I haven't had any critters yet.
Okay.
I do have a dog now that might be trying to find his way up to some lettuce. I don't know, do dogs like lettuce, Kristen?
No, they're...
Well, they might irrigate it for you, but I mean...
It's off the ground.
Yes.
I think I'm safe from that. But yeah, no critters yet. The biggest issue's been the wind and rain and the leaves falling and trying to keep the holes clean from too much dirt getting in there. So
awesome.
It's pretty fun.
We'll track the
progress.
progress.
I love it.
Thank you very much, Carl Wiggers.
Well, 2 weeks ago, for the first time on this show, we went inside a sugar refinery. Although we've seen many mills, we were able to take a look at the end of the process where raw sugar turns into the white table sugar we all love, especially this time of year.
While going to Louisiana sugar refiners was historical, the refinery itself has quite a history. This week, Twila's Neil Melanson takes us back to LSR to see how this place has changed and changed history.
The Louisiana Sugar Refinery is more than just a place that refines sugar. Nationally recognized for its importance, it's transformed many times on its way to being the modern processing facility you see now. This was once the home of Colonial Sugars, which made Dixie Crystal Sugar a brand many older Louisianians are familiar with. These old Colonial Sugar buildings now serve as the power plant for the rest of the facility. But this was once a neighborhood as much as a factory. Many of these homes on the property are also historic. Walking down Park Place Boulevard, LSR CEO Larry Fauché explains these homes now serve as offices.
There are several buildings on this site that were in 1970 recognized to be part of the U.S. Historical Society.
One house in particular is known as the Blue House for the trim on the building. This was once the home of Dr. George Meade, a titan in sugarcane production. As we sit in the backyard with Larry, he says Meade's importance to the sugar production in Louisiana cannot be overstated.
George Meade came along, and George Meade is really the guy most instrumental in developing the process as we know it today. He wrote the first sugarcane handbook, which is worldwide known. That book describes how you take raw sugar, convert it to refined sugar, and it's still in use today.
The home is now used for entertaining, kept to the standards of Meade's day. It served a similar purpose back then, too. In fact, Meade would invite famed oceanographer Jacques Cousteau over. Both Cousteau and Meade had an interest in herpetology, and Meade raised snakes and turtles, which Cousteau would use as specimens for study.
George ran this facility for 30 years. Quite a colorful character. His wife was heavily involved in swimming to the point she was part of the U.S. Olympic Committee.
Blue House aside, the property also has an old church that once served the community here. Fauché says while it's no longer a neighborhood, the past is very much kept alive here in the present.
So his process took raw sugar and converted it into a refined product that then could ship across the country and maintain its characteristics and uses. That book helped define all the various technical phases. And sugar engineering is actually the founder for what we now know as chemical engineering.
There's a lot more to the history of LSR and sugarcane production in Gramercy. We'll put a link to some of those resources online at twilatv.org. And guys, like I said, there's just so much more to the story. It's just so unusual. I mean, you can see by these pictures, you know, it's like a neighborhood on the property of this sugar refinery, and they treat it like such. And of course, with all the workers who are, you know, most of whom live within walking distance of the place, it's got this family atmosphere amidst this modern sugarcane production while 300 trucks are moving in and out of the place every single day. And it's so intimately tied to the community. For instance, one thing I didn't show in the story is there's this old restaurant place called Noble's, and it's third generation, just like Larry, the CEO there of LSR. It's the guy who owns it is third generation. There's an 19th century bar that's there, and everybody who's everybody in Gramercy is there. The emails who have their sugarcane right next door to LSR were eating lunch in there one day when I went in there. So, you know, there's just so much to this community, and it's just integral. You can't see one without the other.
I know we were talking earlier before we went on camera just about how we have so many places involved in agriculture that have this rich history, and you see these historical markers everywhere you go. I know you really love to see that.
I do, and hopefully we're going to do a lot more showing these historical places, because I really think it shows that agriculture is not just tied here to our modern world, but it's always had this place. And in fact, before a lot of what we know about Louisiana was Louisiana, agriculture was there doing this kind of stuff. So hopefully we'll get to see a lot more things like that in the future.
Well, I look forward to it. Thank you very much, Neil Melanson.
Sweet, sweet Neil.
Sweet, sweet Neil. Still to come on Twila. You may love sweet, sweet Neil and sweet potatoes, but do you know what's best for them?
Coming up, a look at the researchers who make life pretty sweet. Stay with us.
I now hope they're fighting today.
I hope they are. Put a Dorito right here.
I got a fish! I got a fish!
Find your place in the country and the lender who can get you there. Find Louisiana Land Bank. Financing for country homes, recreational property, farms and ranches, and agribusiness.
Louisiana oysters, salty, sweet, and delicious. But have you ever thought about what happens to all those oyster shells? Most of them end up in trash cans and landfills. The Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana is changing this with its oyster shell recycling program, and you can help by visiting these participating restaurants. It's a simple and delicious way to restore our coast. The shells will then be used to sustain and rebuild oyster reefs. Remember, once you shuck them, don't just chuck them.
I'm a farmer.
I am a farm wife.
I am a cowboy.
I am a grass farmer.
I'm a businesswoman.
I'm a conservationist.
I am an advocate.
I am a voice for Louisiana farmers.
I'm always learning.
I'm a husband.
I'm a mom.
I am a dad.
I'm a granddad.
I am a consumer.
I grow the food that feeds your family, and I'm proud of it. I am Farm Bureau.
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 We are Farm Bureau.
One of the great things about agriculture in Louisiana is the working relationship between the farmers and the researchers for their crops.
At the Sweet Potato Research Station in Chase, Louisiana, the scientists are working hard every day to ensure that we get the best possible sweet potatoes. In this piece from the LSU, we get to know one of those researchers and why he loves doing what he does best.
When I come up with the perfect sweet potato, I will let you know, I promise. And it's hard to get there. The challenge is to try and continually push those boundaries to get that variety that's got that amazing ease of production and also something that consumers want. I'm Don Labonte, and I'm a professor in the School of Plant, Environmental, and Soil Sciences, and I am a sweet potato breeder. The biggest thing that I have to do is try and identify a new variety for the industry. Getting something that has that higher yield, better shape, disease resistance, all the things that are almost impossible all in one package. We're trying to find out that combination of parents that give us progeny. They're going to be better than the varieties that our producers grow today. It's a really fun challenge to try and meet that objective. What I like about this is it combines so many different areas of sciences. And then just me in particular, I really like art. And so there's a really good element of art involved in this. It's that picking out the different shapes, colors. You have to have an eye for something that's attractive. All those things together, you know, it's not something you can quantify through science. It's something you just see it and you know it's got that right look that the industry as well as the public and the retail is going to really love it.
We want to thank Randy LeBove and Olivia McClure at the LSU Ag Center for putting that piece together. January is usually a quiet month for agriculture in Louisiana. Sugarcane harvest is wrapping up and not much else is going on. That's why many ag groups tend to hold events, and we thought we'd get an update on a few things going on for the next month.
The Ag Expo in West Monroe will be held January 17th and 18th at the Ike Hamilton Expo Center. The event is run by the North Louisiana Agribusiness Council and sees more than 10,000 visitors over that weekend. It's a great way to see coming trends in the new year in ag, as well as some of the most impressive farm machinery around. It's also a fun event for the whole family.
That same weekend, the American Farm Bureau will kick off its 101st annual convention in Austin, Texas. The event will be held from January 17th through the 22nd. The American Farm Bureau Federation Convention is where the members of the largest general farm organization gather and attend seminars, events, and listen to speakers across all areas of agriculture. President Trump is expected to be at the event again this year, but it has not been confirmed. No matter who shows up, it will have something for everyone, including the trade show, farm tours, and concerts. Registration is open now, so get online and sign up. I will be there, and I hope you will be too.
It's going to be huge. Finally, LSU Ag Leadership Class 16 will be taking its international trip on January 18th through the 30th. The members of that class will travel to Japan and Thailand, two countries that have a significant impact on ag trade in the United States. Japan just signed a new trade deal last month, opening that country back up to U.S. beef. Dr. Bobby Swallow, director of the LSU Ag Leadership Program, says these trips develop understanding of not only new cultures, but new opportunities.
We're going to see the grain that comes from North America over in Japan, and you will see how it's tied to the Japanese and how it's very important. We'll also see grain in Thailand, and we'll see how it's tied to their seafood industry and how that is imports back to us, and that affects our seafood people. There is a tie, there are pluses and minuses on all of that, and that's the balance that you try to get everyone to think about. And what is balanced to you might not be balanced to me and everyone else. And that's the challenge with trade.
Carl Wiggers is a member of Class 16. Neil Melasso and I will be traveling with Carl and the rest of the class to share the group's experience online. We're going to take it all in, do a lot of video, and then turn that into the first Twila show of 2020. Well, still to come on Twila, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Okay, we'd say that a lot on this show.
Well, you might not love Avery singing, but who doesn't love kids around Christmas trees? Stay with us.
Before you sweeten your morning joe, before the icing on the cake, before the sugar hits the shelf, it begins with a family of sugarcane farmers dedicated to growing Louisiana for more than 220 years. The Sugarcane Growers of Louisiana, making life sweeter, naturally.
Sugarcane, sweet sugarcane.
Landowners are minding the Louisiana forest for our grandchildren. A place for wildlife, recreation, lumber for homes. It's the right thing to do. Forestry, covering half our state, all of our hearts.
This is the moment I knew his future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire.
Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
That's slow. That's slow and blue. Seriously.
Earlier in the show, Carl Wigger shared some holiday cheer with us with a visit to a Louisiana Christmas tree farm.
Well, in this week's Twila Boost, we're doubling down on the Christmas joy with a Hallmark-worthy video from Wall's Family Christmas Tree Farm.
All right, today is an important day. We are going Christmas tree hunting. What are we doing? Are we gonna get a Christmas tree for the house? Are you gonna help us find one? Yeah? Are you excited about it? Yeah. So we're looking for a Christmas tree. We're at Wall's Family Tree Farm out near Terrell, Texas. So yeah, pretty excited about it. The girls are excited. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Okay, babe, what are we looking for in a tree? Obviously, we can't go super tall because we don't have that much space, but what are we looking for?
Well, I like them to be kind of full.
You like a fat tree?
I like a fat tree. I mean, a good shape, but like, I guess dense.
Like a dense tree. All right, I like these adjectives we're working with. So we're looking for a dense, fat tree.
It's got a good shape.
It's got a good shape. Okay, yeah, that narrows it down. I like this one a lot.
Up to the one that we marked.
Pretty smile. No, like a real smile.
Sorry, just find place and hang up all the decorations.
And thanks to the Experience This Facebook page for sharing that great video. That does it for this edition of Twila. Be sure to join us next week when we'll have something old and something new. We'll look back at the year on Twila, but have a brand new Field to Feast with Jennifer Finley.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find all of these videos and more on our YouTube page, so be sure to subscribe and click for notifications.
For all of us here at Twila, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.